Speaking of fading memory, I am finding it harder and harder to remember things these days, but I'm an optimist. I'm looking for the silver lining here. So I went to see Father Tom. He's the pastor up at St. Andrew's Catholic Church in Rochester. And I said, Father Tom, you know, I'm in my 60s now, so I was wondering, on the 10 Commandments, do I have to obey all 10 of them, or just the ones I can remember? Now, I won't repeat exactly what he said to me, but I will tell you it's not the answer that I had been hoping for. So then I said, okay, Father Tom, tell me this. When I go to confession, or reconciliation, I can't keep track of what it's called now, whenever I go there, do I have to confess all my sins, or just the ones I can recall? In other words, can I do the whole confession, reconciliation thing from memory, or do I need to keep track of everything I've done wrong? And he said, well, Bill, you certainly don't have to keep track of every single little thing you've done wrong. He said, that's what wives are for. And I thought that was amazing, because the guy's not even married and he knows all this stuff. So then I said, I'm thinking, you know, on one hand, he's right, but on the other hand, I don't want to take my wife into the confessional with me. I mean, she'd be rolling her eyes at all my transgressions, and then she might try to embellish my sins, you know? And I think you'd all agree with me when I say sin is bad enough in and of itself without having someone there trying to put a negative spin on it. A good sin should stand on its own merit. So I came up with an alternate plan. I developed a computerized spreadsheet to keep track of my sins. I listed all my typical sins down the left-hand side, and across the top I have the dates. And at the end of each day I go in there, and for that day I check off any sin or sins that I may have committed on that day. And it's all right there. Then when I go into the confession, I just take my little laptop computer with me, flip it open, turn it on, and there it is. And I say, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been 2.5 megabytes of sin since my last confession. And then I just read down my list of sins, and if he asks me how many times I've committed a certain sin, no problem, I just have the computer add up across the row, and I say, 15, Father, I did that one 15 times. Would you like it broken down by month or day of the week? And he usually says no, but the information is there if he wants it. And then when we're done and he goes to give me my penance, I say, excuse me, Father, but I could have the computer calculate it for you based on severity of sins, frequency of occurrence, patterns of misbehavior. But he always says no because dishing out punishment is one of those priestly duties that they don't want to give up. Excuse me, but I think they like that one. But when he does give me my penance, instead of relying on my weak memory, I can just enter it into the computer so I don't forget what it is. And I even have the computer automatically transfer it to my to-do list so I don't forget to do it. So my to-do list is something like mow lawn, wash car, say X number of Hail Marys. And that's good because I can look at it and say, I could save some time if I say the Hail Marys while I wash the car. Or it takes a long time to say 150 Hail Marys, so by the time I'm done, the car is very, very clean. Now, at the final step, he asked me to say the act of contrition prayer. No problem. Instead of relying on my weak memory, I just pull up my act of contrition file on the computer. There it is on the screen, and I read it off and don't have to worry about stumbling over the words or forgetting parts of it. And that's very important, because if you're a Catholic, and if you mess up the act of contrition, the priest knows it's been a lot longer since your last confession than you said it was. So for all the Catholics here, I recommend you always give a good, crisp act of contrition, even if you have to cheat. Now, I know what the Catholics here, and maybe some of the Episcopalians and others are thinking right now. You're thinking, wow, I wish I could get my hands on a system like that, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that you can, because I've got this whole thing programmed, packaged, and ready to go. Yes, it's a turnkey system that I call software for sinners. And this month is our annual Judas Iscariot sale. Yes. You get the complete Software for Sinners program, plus the pop-up active contrition file, plus an instruction book in English and Latin, all for the low, low price of just 30 pieces of silver. And if you are what we refer to as a heavy-duty sinner, don't raise your hands because we know who you are. If you're one of them, for just 2 additional pieces of silver, you can have your system upgraded to 10 megabytes of memory. That's right, 10 megabytes. That's venial sins, mortal sins, or any combination of the two, 10 megabytes. And if you are handicapped, if you qualify for one of those handicap stickers in your car, you can email in your confession and skip the trip to church altogether. That's right. That's right. Just fill out the Software for Sinners spreadsheet, email it to Father Tom. Absolution will be almost immediate, and your penance will be emailed back to you within 2 or 3 hours, unless that happens to be the night that Father is sampling the incoming shipment of communion wine for quality control purposes. So for more details on this amazing offer, or to actually place your order for the Software for Sinners package, or for the bourbon with fiber, or for the Cuban medical sticks, just access our senior-friendly website, www.gettingbolderNotOlder.com. Thank you very much.